The rope at the courtyard well is still damp, though the hand that lowered it has already gone back into the dark. It hangs over the stone lip with a little weight left in it. The outer strands have begun to cool. Deeper in the bend, where fingers would close first, the rope is still dark from water. A small smell of stone rises from it. Not strong. Not enough to disturb the sleeping rooms. Only the faint mineral scent that comes when cold water has touched old masonry and then been left alone. The courtyard is quiet now. The last prayer has faded behind the arches, and no one has spoken near the well for several minutes. Still, the floor is not empty of life. A few wet marks cross the stone in uneven steps. They belong to someone who moved carefully, not for ceremony, but because a small sound travels far at night. The marks do not form a straight path. One step turns a little wider than the others. One heel has avoided a loose place in the paving. Whoever crossed here knew the courtyard as a worker knows it, through the body first, and only afterward through thought. The bucket rests near the well mouth, turned a little away from the path. It did not land there by accident. Its iron band faces the wall. Its wooden side faces the open floor. If it shifted, even slightly, the dull knock would pass under the arches and into the sleeping rooms. The man who brought the water knew that. He knew which stone answered sharply under a heel. He knew which board in the service passage disliked weight. He knew where the courtyard stayed wet after a spill, and where the rope could be drawn without scraping too loudly. He did not need to think through each motion. His body had learned the place. He came after prayer because water was still needed. He lowered the bucket and waited for the rope to grow heavy. The first length went down easily. Then the rope tugged a little, finding the side of the shaft. He let it settle before drawing it back. When he pulled, he used both hands, then changed his grip halfway up, the way a tired person does when the first hold begins to ache. The old groove in the stone guided the rope. Near the edge he slowed without deciding to slow. He knew that last rise was where the bucket liked to knock. For a moment, he held the weight still. He listened, not for danger, but for the small permission that quiet gives. No door moved. No bed frame answered. No sleeper turned sharply behind the wall. Then he set it down. The lamp in the wall niche gives only a small amount of light. It touches the bucket rim, the basin, the rope, then ends before the far side of the courtyard. The darkness beyond it is readable but not awake. A person can find the path without being pulled out of rest. The flame is low enough to be useful without becoming a command. It leaves the corners alone. It leaves the upper stones almost black. It gives the worker only what he needs: the lip of the basin, the edge of the step, the wet shine that warns where a foot might slip in the morning. Near the basin, a cloth has been folded twice and left within reach. One edge is darker than the rest. It has wiped water from a wrist, from the bucket handle, perhaps from the stone where a splash would have made the morning step unsafe. The fold is not perfect. One corner lies under the other, at a slight angle. Whoever left it there had enough care to put it back, and not enough strength left to make it neat. There is a tenderness in that small failure, though no one would have named it that. The cloth is ready. The basin is ready. The hand that arranged them had simply reached the end of what neatness could ask from it. The well has no grand story to give tonight. It has pressure. It has wet rope. It has the scrape of wood held back before it can sound. It has a bucket lowered and lifted because people behind doors and walls will wake before dawn and need water again. The stone lip has softened where wrists and rope have used it for years. It does not shine. It has simply lost its sharpness. In one place, the edge is almost smooth. If a hand reached for it in the dark, it would know the place before the eyes did. This is how a building becomes familiar. Not all at once. Not through names carved over doors. Through repeated pressure. Through a wrist leaning in the same place. Through a rope passing over the same edge until the stone gives up a little of its hardness. The basin holds a little water. The surface is broken by dust and one pale thread. The lamp trembles there, not clearly, just enough to show that a little remains. Someone rinsed quickly and moved on. The water kept the thread. The stone kept the damp mark. Neither one explains the person, but both refuse to let him vanish completely. Under the cloister arches, the wet marks become thinner. He would have stepped there without looking down much. He would know where the floor dips. He would know how to turn the bucket so it did not strike the wall. He would know how to keep his breathing quiet after lifting weight from the well. The arches make every sound longer than it wants to be. A sandal scrape can become a question. A handle touch can seem larger than the hand that made it. So he worked inside the spaces between sounds, letting one small movement finish before beginning the next. This kind of skill is almost invisible. It does not look like devotion from a distance. It looks like a bucket set down softly, a rope guided through a groove, a cloth left where the next hand will find it. The passage beyond the courtyard narrows toward the service rooms. The air changes there. It carries clay, wood, stored grain, old water, and the faint smell of cloth that has dried too many times near stone. The lamp behind grows smaller, but it is still enough to see the shelf. On the shelf, a covered jar stands slightly crooked. The cloth over its mouth has been tucked under one side. Beside it, a wooden tool rests at an angle that nearly breaks the order of the place. The shelf has its own quiet rules. The jar belongs near the back. The tool belongs beside it. A clean cloth is usually folded with its edge facing outward. Tonight, the order is still there, but softened, as if the person who kept it had almost completed the habit and then let the last inch go. The man was tired. It shows only in small permissions. A tool left one hand width from its usual place. A folded cloth that holds its shape, then gives up near the edge. A footmark at the threshold, stopped there a little longer than the others, as if he had paused and forgotten the next task for one breath. Then he remembered. Then he went on. A second cloth waits near the back of the shelf. It is cleaner than the first, but not new. Its folds are soft from being opened, used, washed, and folded again. Someone has kept it ready because morning work is easier when the hand can find what it needs without searching. The habit saves more than time. It saves the first tired minutes after waking, when the room is still dark and the mind has not yet gathered itself. A cloth in the right place, a jar still covered, a tool close to the shelf edge. These are small mercies arranged before sleep. That is how the night prepares the day. Not with announcement, not with any proud order, only with a few things put within reach before sleep finally takes the worker away from them. The corridor beyond the shelf is darker. A wooden peg on the wall holds nothing now. Below it, the plaster shows a faint mark where something often hangs. A belt, a cord, a damp cloth, a small pouch. Whatever it was, it shaped the wall by returning there again and again. The worker's room is close to the service passage. It is small. A stool stands near the bed. A cup sits on the floor. A basin holds a little water for morning. A folded garment lies where a hand can reach it in the dark. Nothing in the room has been placed for display. The stool is where a knee would find it. The garment is near enough to reach without standing fully. The cup is low, because the hand that needs it may still be half asleep. The bed has been straightened, but not fully. One corner of the cloth is pulled loose. There is a shallow hollow where weight has rested before. This is not a room made for comfort. It is a room where a body is allowed to stop. Near the stool, one sandal has left a dry crescent in the dust. The other sandal is closer to the wall. The difference is small. One foot came down harder. One hand released its burden sooner. The body made a record before the person had time to think of one. The cup has a dull rim. It has been lifted often. The lip is smoother than the side. A little water remains inside, dark and still. It is there for the hour when someone wakes thirsty and reaches before opening his eyes completely. That reach is part of the room too. It has happened enough times for the cup to have a place, for the floor beside the bed to remain clear, for the body to know the distance before the eyes can confirm it. Beside the bedding, a low wooden peg has been polished along the top. It is empty now. The wood around it is soft from repeated touch. It may have held a belt, or a pouch, or a damp cloth. The exact object has gone for the night. The habit remains. On the floor below it, a narrow thread has caught in a crack between stones. It may have come from the folded garment. It may have come from the cloth by the basin. It is only a thread, but it carries the courtyard into the room. Work follows people in these small ways. For a while, nothing asks to be changed. The jar remains covered. The tool remains at its angle. The cloth by the basin darkens along one edge. The bucket rests where it will not roll. Each thing is close to use, close to the next hand, close to morning. Then the courtyard returns in the mind because every narrow passage has been leading back to it. The well has not changed. The rope still hangs over the stone. The bucket still leans near the mouth. The wet marks on the floor have faded, but their path is still legible to anyone who knows the work. The return is quieter than the first look. At the beginning, the rope asked the question. Now the whole place answers it. The basin, the cloth, the shelf, the room, the cup, the thread. Each one has kept a small part of the same nightwork. Above the courtyard, the air is colder. The upper stones hold very little warmth now. The bell has no sound in it. It is only part of the sleeping house, high above the lower rooms where water, cloth, and wood wait for the day to begin. Below, the lamp has grown smaller. Its light reaches the basin, catches one narrow line of water, then slips away. The dark takes the shine back without hurry. The rope has started to dry at the outside. Deeper in the twist, the moisture remains. Before dawn, another hand will find it there. Perhaps the same hand. Perhaps another one that knows the same groove, the same bucket, the same careful turn away from the wall. The work will begin again without needing to be named. For now, it is finished. The cloth waits by the basin not as a symbol, but as a useful thing placed where use will come again. The bucket leans beside the well, turned away from the path that carries sound toward sleep. The cup rests near the bed. The thread stays in the crack between stones, a small line between the courtyard and the room. And the rope, dark with water and touch, keeps the quiet proof that someone came after prayer, did what was needed, and left the courtyard ready for sleep.